Welcome back to the weekly news roundup in the Quicklines edition, where somewhere in here we will talk about Notepad++, or is that Notepad hack? We'll get in there in a moment. Of course, all of the full stream link is down below, as are the link to the articles is also down below. And first up in our Quicklines, a lawsuit filed last week alleges a tech firm can access virtually all private communications, a claim the company has denied. All right. So Meta can read encrypted WhatsApp messages. I wanted to include this one because I sit on the fence on this one, as much as I want to say, of course we all knew it. I just don't know. And the evidence in this is a little shady with a little bit of potentiality, as it were. All right. And so what do I mean by that? Well, first and foremost, what we see here is the allegation that Meta can access WhatsApp users' private communications. Meta, of course, because a PR person said it, says it's categorically false and absurd. But what happened here is that this looks like it could very well be a retaliatory suit, because what ended up happening is there was a separate case where this guy, Quinn Emanuel, in a separate case is helping represent the NSO group in its appeal against a judgment from the U.S. federal court, which ordered it to pay $167 million to WhatsApp for violating terms of service in the deployment of Pegasus spyware on more than 1,400 users. So effectively, WhatsApp here ends up winning the lawsuit requiring all of this money. So the same firm is turning around and finding some undisclosed whistleblowers and saying, well, these undisclosed whistleblowers that we won't identify to you, they all say that WhatsApp can view information inside. So it looks like a serious conflict of interest. If this is true, this guy should have nothing to do with this case, because this is what causes me to question, is this true or not? So we look forward to moving forward with those claims, and note WhatsApp's denials have all been carefully worded in a way that stops short of denying the central allegation that Meta has the ability to read the messages regardless of its claims about end-to-end encryption. Now, first let's talk about this elephant in the room, end-to-end encryption. Different security researchers have different definitions of this term. As we were trying to look at different ones, and I talked to some personally, and then we read different articles from different solid experts in the field. Some of them say end-to-end encryption is only encryption from this end to this end. And what happens in between, like on this side or on this side, may or may not be encrypted. Some people say end-to-end encryption is it's encrypted absolutely everywhere over here, absolutely everywhere in here, and in transmission. So there's not a solid answer. Now, to the opposition's point, WhatsApp basically says in all of their wording, it says, we don't read the messages. It doesn't talk about the technical capabilities. And so the question is, can they actually read them? Now, obviously, some WhatsApp messages have leaked out over the years. Is that from the application, or is that from the fact that some people could take screenshots up with it in some ways? Now, one of the factors is that the protocol they use is the same protocol as Signal. So in theory, if they just use Signal's protocol without adjusting anything, then it should be very secure, because Signal does have end-to-end zero knowledge encryption. So they allege they cannot see any information at all, and there's never been evidence to the contrary. The problem we have with WhatsApp is also a proprietary app. They will not release the source code, and we have no earthly idea what is going on in between. And at some point in time in the chain, those messages have to be decrypted in order for you to see them on your device. And let's also not forget that Meta was the company that was also utilizing an internal server built on its apps on your device to bypass the privacy regulations on iOS, meaning that it has the full capability to collect any of the data. It has the capability to transmit data in an encrypted stream outside of WhatsApp itself. And these are all technical factors that we would actually have to get a chance to see the source code to know for sure. But for me, what I'm looking at this and going, as much as I would love to just jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, see, I knew it all along, there is a lot of serious problems because the guy making these allegations has a bunch of unnamed whistleblowers, and he's the guy that a different court said has to pay WhatsApp a bunch of millions of dollars. And so I don't know what's going on here. I'll know this. I ain't a user of WhatsApp, so I don't really care all that much. But just so you know, there's some dispute going on in the midst of all of this. All right. So next up is Apple's new iOS setting addresses a hidden layer of location tracking. So this deals with your carrier can usually pinpoint you down to a specific address, and Apple wants to do something about it. They don't have any power to do anything about it, but they want to. So Apple changed iOS 26.3 with a new setting called Limit Precise Location. So this is something that impacts only a certain number of compatible modems that they have, which, by the way, does not include one of their latest phones. But apps like Apple's Find My Service, which locates your device, or navigation services are not affected because they work using the phone's location sharing features. But what they're doing is they are obfuscating the carrier location based on sending basically garbage data back to the modem. So the move comes after years of carriers mishandling location data. So, of course, if you remember back in April 2024, FCC fined Sprint and T-Mobile, along with AT&T and Verizon, $200 million for sharing data. This kind of all goes back, like, was it 2018 or something? There was the big case where the, any PI for $50 could get anybody's precise location at any given time. But they sold access to customers' location information to third-party aggregators who then sold it to other third parties without consumer consent. So the problem is the feature only works on devices equipped with Apple's custom C1 or C1X modems. That means just 3 devices: iPhone Air, iPhone 16e, and the cellular iPad Pro with the M5 chip. iPhone 17, which uses the Qualcomm Silicon, is excluded from it. Now, here's the problem. The carriers have to support the protocol. Guess what? They don't. Who would have seen that coming? Now, very similar, Android actually has a way of doing this as well. Modem vendors must cooperate, and most have not. Apple and Google do not get to control the modems in most phones. This kind of privacy protection requires vertical integration that few manufacturers possess and few carriers seem eager to enable. So go figure. Apple's like, hey, we're going to have a way to block the precise knowing of your location. And the carriers are going, we couldn't possibly support that. Oh, boy. How wonderful. All right, here's there's an update on this. Apparently the update is new, but we'll have a look. So we'll read it as it is, and hopefully we'll find that update, which is new. So this is interesting because last week we talked about Free Cash, that scummy site that was doing effectively fraudulent type advertising, which ended up on Free Cash, which is basically a scummy marketing company seeking to drive you into the various apps that end up collecting a bunch of data and making money by selling the data. Of course, in between last week's show and this week's show, I clicked a video from somebody I used to like to watching, but lately was just like, I don't like it as much. And wouldn't you know it, he's over there shilling Free Cash, broadly sponsored by Free Cash. I'm like, stop video. Do not show this channel again. I'm done. You start pushing stuff connected to spams and scams, I'm out, buddy. I'm out. So yeah, Free Cash has some serious problems. So this was a cloud storage phishing scam, which when you followed through the clicks, landed you on Free Cash. So here you go. Update your payment details. Access your accounts. Okay. So your cloud account has been locked on Saturday, 24th January. Your photos and videos will be removed. No, not my photos and videos. So, of course, it has all that urgency, clearly a phishing message. So Malwarebytes is like, well, we'll bite. We'll go fishing with this poisoned bait. Come on, buddies. And so they do this. And then they end up landing on a series of different things, and then they end up landing on ultimately free cash. So this one here, the link in the email led to storage.google APIs and then a series of strings, redirected you over. Then this would redirect you over to headquartertune.japan.com, jpn.com, and utilizing a HTML script or a JavaScript, which is going to simply redirect you. And then this ended up landing over here on an endurance themed fish. So planning your road trip, make sure you're protected. Protect your car with a plan made for long drives and hot days. We would get your free quotes. And then this goes over to a fake CAPTCHA. When you solve the fake CAPTCHA, it lands on freecash.com. The very company that says, yeah, we'll do anything to get your data. All right. So the end goal of the fish depends on parameters passed along during the redirect, so the results may vary. Rather than stealing credentials directly, it appears designed to monetize traffic, funneling victims into affiliate offers where the operators get paid for signups or conversions. Wonderful. So products promoted in this phishing campaign include VPN services, little-known security software, and other subscription-based offerings with no connection to cloud storage. All right, so there's the whole redirect. Okay, here is the update. I had not read the update, and it looks like this update came out today. So let's see. Company behind Free Cash Platform reached out to us to inform us about the chain of redirects leading to the platform, and after investigation notifies that following Merabytes reporting the additional information they shared with us, we investigated the issue and identified an affiliate operating in breach of our policies. Partner had been removed from our network. Almeida does not sell user data. We take comparisons. Yeah. The entire model is based on that. But the first part, okay. So apparently affiliates, apparently free cash is so profitable, it's worth scammers utilizing your affiliate links. And this kind of tells me anybody that willingly does business with free cash, I want nothing to do with them. And this is the second time it's showing up in our security reports for weird, shady. And why is it they suddenly have this big problem with third-party affiliates? They seem to have a third-party affiliate problem. Maybe they should think about that. But anyway, that's what they said. So, yeah, whatever. This one's good here. Match, Hinge, OkCupid, of course, all dating apps owned by one company. They all have a ransomware breach along with Panera Bread. I guess Panera Bread's the place you go to hook up on your date with Match, OkCupid, and Hinge. So very interesting. Shiny Hunters Ransomware Group has claimed the data theft of 10 million records belonging to the Match Group and 14 million from Panera Bread. We are surprised that many people shop at Panera Bread, but there you have it. Last time I went into a Panera Bread, because I was driving all over the country, I just made it back. I just crossed on up into the state of Pennsylvania, somewhere a little bit to the east of Johnstown. I'm heading my way back up to Erie. And I stopped by this big plaza, huge plaza, all these stores, really cool place. Stop in. I'm like, I've been drinking too much gas station coffee. Let's go to Panera Bread. I walk in with my Switch to Linux cup, shop.switchedtolinux.com, and I go on in there, and I'm like, I want to get a coffee refill, and she brings in $5. $5 to refill a coffee when I brought the cup? I laughed in her face, turned around, and walked out. I ain't paying $5 for a coffee refill from Panera Bread. So I went to the local Sheetz gas station and got very, very good coffee. Sheetz has good coffee for $1. Actually, I don't even know if they charge me for it. It's funny, if you go into Sheetz and you bring your own cup, about 50% of the time they don't even charge you. So I was going up and offer to pay, of course, but they don't always charge you. So that's my last experience with Panera Bread. It's extraordinarily expensive. So data involved is contact information. They said Shiny Hunters seem to be gaining access through, look at this, single sign-on platforms and using voice cloning techniques. So, okay, number one, don't use single signing platforms. Google, I'm looking at you. Which, by the way, if you're using uBlock Origin, you can actually block all those single sign-up crap that comes up. It's not enabled by default, but you can turn it on. Also, don't use voice. Like, who is using voice to verify? There's one of the financial companies that almost requires you to use voice print. I'm like, no. I got thousands of videos of me talking on the internet. I'm not using a voice print to verify anything. That's insanity. Right? It's just a nutcase. May as well drink some battery broth. All right. Let's see. Platforms and voice clone techniques result in a growing number of breaches. However, not all the breaches have the same impact. Match says there's no evidence of the logins, financial data, or private chats were stolen, but personally identifiable information and tracking data for some users are in scope. So they'll get a chance to, watch you talking to people on Match.com and then visiting PH for a little bit. I don't know. It's desperation carries many forms, I guess. All right. Notification process has been set in motion. Panera Bread reassures users that no indication of the hackers access user login credentials, financial information, or private communications. All right. One person. It's down here, right here. The impact on Panera Bread breach will be very different. I just ordered a sandwich and now some criminals have my home address. Yeah, don't order a sandwich from Panera Bread, guys. I mean, don't order a sandwich from anybody to get it delivered to your house. That's just asking for serious problems. And then, of course, the dating stuff, you get a lot more information, but go figure, right? All right, and let's see. Next up, Notepad hack. So Notepad++ infrastructure hack likely tied to China Nexus apt Lotus Blossom. So this was a hack that was occurring most of this year, or was it? I think it started, let's see, until September. I think it started in June or July. Was it June or July it started? Okay, it should be in my highlights here somewhere, but so effectively they revealed nation-state hackers compromised the hosting provider's infrastructure, redirecting update traffic to malicious servers, did not exploit flaws in the code, but intercepted updates before they reached the user. So the code itself was safe, but what was going on here is, like many applications, it just always wants to update itself. This is why I stand against that. Don't forget, Snaps had this problem. If you're running an Ubuntu-based system and it has Snaps enabled and you're running a bunch of Snaps, don't forget, Snaps by default update themselves. And Alan Pope just recently had a report indicating that a lot of domain squatting has happened as people are taking over expired domains for old Snaps and then taking over the source code, and then they are uploading malicious versions of Snaps, which automatically update and automatically install stuff. Well, the same thing was happening, and a lot of software tries to do this. Oh, we always got to make sure we have the latest thing, so every time you boot the thing up, we're going to check for an update and install itself. Well, the thing was, now, one thing to know is that this is not every single instance of Notepad++. We would have known far earlier. This was targeted people. So this is people who are targeted. They probably have some form of info stealer already on you. They know who they are. They know what browser you are. They know what IP you are. And then they will track down that IP. And then when the Notepad++ goes on your system to reach the update, it interferes with the hosting provider and redirects you to a malicious update site instead. And then you will get a malicious version of the application, which is then spying on you. But it's very targeted. It's not doing it all the time. It's doing it apparently on specific select targets that are of high interest value to the state-sponsored hackers. All right, so the attack did not exploit flaws in Notepad++ code, but intercepted updates before they reached the servers, allowing malicious actors to intercept and redirect update traffic destined for notepad++.org. And they said through the compromise occurred at the hosting provider level rather than through vulnerabilities in the code itself. The Chinese state-sponsored group, based on highly selective targeting, attackers compromised a shared hosting server until September 2nd, and later used stolen credentials to redirect update traffic until December 2nd. And so this basically was going on most of the summer. So the investigators saw the notepad++.exe and gup.exe run first, followed by a suspicious update.exe downloaded from an external IP. That file turned out to be an NSIS installer, a delivery method often used by Chinese apt groups. It drops files into a hidden app data folder and abused DLL sideloading through a renamed Bitdefender binary to decrypt and launch a custom backdoor called Chrysalis. And so the malware relied on multiple layers of obfuscation to conceal its code and make analysis harder. It used custom API hashings to avoid calling Windows functions directly and encrypted its configuration to hide key settings. So very interesting hack and very targeted. But this is a good reason why you should never let any software on your computer update itself automatically. You should be in full control and watch that process as it goes. But the problem is, man, this is so good you wouldn't even know what was going on. So good thing someone caught that. Well, an AI plush company, an AI plush toys exposed thousands of private chats with children. So if the AI toys are not telling your children where the matches are and defining BDSM to them, then they're at least collecting all the information, storing it online, and then, yes, what they're doing there is they're going ahead and just leaking it all out to anybody who has an arbitrary Google account. That is right. That is how insecure this database was. Bondu's AI plush toy exposed a web console to let anyone with any Gmail account read 50,000 private chats between children and their cuddly toys. How wonderful. So what it doesn't say is that anyone with a Gmail account could read the transcripts from virtually every child who used Bondu toy without any actual hacking, simply by logging in with an arbitrary Google account. Two researchers found themselves looking at children's private conversations. Well, that must have been interesting. The emphasis on a successful beta test is understandable. They're like, hey guys, we had our toys out with children for 18 months and it didn't talk about BDSM or how to burn the house down. This is a win. We just have no data security. So the AI teddy bear marketed by Follow Toys were quickly veered from friendly chats into, well, BDSMs and unsafe household devices. That was the old one. Now the chat logs between children and their plushies revealed names, birth dates, family details, and intimate conversations. They were children. I hope they weren't too intimate. But it is frightening that why in this world would this app on this setup require you to enter the names of the birth dates and family details? That is an excessive amount of data to be collected for a toy that a kid's going to walk around and talk to. It's all about data collection. Only conversations not available were those manually deleted by parents or the company's staff. Potentially, these chat logs could be a burglar's or a kidnapper's dream, offering insight into household routines and upcoming events. Whether it's a foul mouth, blabbermouth, or just a feeble replacement for real friends, we don't encourage using artificial intelligence in children's toys unless we ever make it to the point where they can be used safely, privately, securely, and even then, sparingly. So yes, keep all AI toys away from all children. That makes good sense. AT&T breach. We talked. I think we've talked about a few of the AT&T breaches. This one is a new data set. This one originally circulated February. Let's see. Data set privately circulated since February 2nd is described as AT&T customer data likely gathered over the years, containing roughly 176 million records, 148 million social security numbers, 133 million full names and street addresses, 132 million phone numbers, dates, birth dates for 75 million, and more than 131 million email addresses. This is the type of stuff that will allow people to easily do a SIM swap or do a lot of other very nefarious things. So an address helps attackers guess which services they might use. When the attackers can look up a single person and see names, full addresses, phone numbers, emails, complete or partial social security, and the date of birth in one place, the risk shifts from annoying to high impact. See, this is, once again, there is no reason a company needs to have this much information to provide you with a phone number. Credit card on file, and then, that should be all it needs. But we need to make sure you're going to pay your bill. Put a credit card on file. If they don't pay their bill the first month, cut off the phone until the bill's paid. This is not rocket science. You do not need all of this information. It's a cell phone. You don't need the physical address. Of course, there's know your customer crap, which should be abolished, but there you go. So, of course, they mention here the SIM swapping attempts can be found. And the uncomfortable part is that a fresh hack isn't always required to end up here. Breach data tends to linger, then get merged, cleaned up, expanded over time. What's different in this case is the breadth and the quality of profiles. They include more email addresses, more social security numbers, and a complete records per person. Makes more data attractive, searchable, and more actionable for criminals. So there you go. But no need to regulate this data industry. They'll regulate it themselves. There you go. Any anime fans out there? Yeah. I like anime about as much as, I don't know. I don't. Can't stand it. Can't get into it. Anime, manga, I've never been able to get into it. If it's your thing, more power to you. But if it's your thing, I'm sorry. So Crunchyroll, of course, recently killed its free tier. Now you have to pay for it. And then, of course, once they did that, then they upped the subscription prices by 25%. The price effects are going to go into effect in March for previous subscribers, and they go into effect now for new subscribers. So past 6 years, the service has raised prices for fans, and today announced it's increasing monthly subscriptions by up to 25%. They had 3 million paid subscribers, an additional 197 million users with free accounts, which let people watch a limited number of titles without commercials. Now, of course, they were acquired by Sony. And they reduced the number of free titles in 2022 before eliminating the free option altogether in December 31st. And now the cheapest plan went from $8 a month to $10 a month. Mega tier allowing for streaming up to 4 devices simultaneously went from $12 to $14 a month. They said that the higher prices would give fans more of what they love, including recent and upcoming changes, teens profiles, pins, and multiple profiles, and the ability to skip intro theme songs and ending credits. Wasn't that already in there? I know lots of people watch anime. I was at a friend's house. They were watching some anime, and I remember him skipping the intro of some anime. Maybe he wasn't on Crunchyroll. I'm not sure. Anyway, if you are on Crunchyroll, my apologies to you. It's getting a lot more expensive, just like everything else. How wonderful. All right. Ongoing RAM crisis prompts the Raspberry Pi's second price hike in 2 months. So the Pi board is increasing its price again. So the 2 boards pricing will go up by $10, 4 gigabyte by $15, 8 by $30, and 16 by $60 price increase. And this is thanks to all those AI data centers that are buying up all of the inventory, and nobody can get RAM anymore. So, maybe Jeff Bezos is behind this so that you indeed will be renting your computer from the clouds. See yesterday's video for more information. All right, and our final one here. I'm going to get a little political on you for a moment here, folks. Homeland Security is trying to force tech companies to hand over data about Trump critics. All right, that's the headline from the left-leaning psychopaths at the TechCrunch who see Donald Trump and, oh my God, look at what Donald Trump's doing. I'm not sure if that's the case, but let's go ahead and talk about this objectively. We'll be objective here. Homeland Security relied on the use of administrative subpoenas to seek identifiable information about individuals who run anonymous Instagram accounts which share posts about ICE immigration raids in their local neighborhoods. Okay, so let's separate out 2 things here first. Number one is if these big tech companies did not have the data, they couldn't give the data. So maybe we just need to stop sharing the data. Now, secondly, what is the purpose of this here? You see, I know that there's a whole bunch of people that are like, oh my God, abolish ICE, because you're mentally ill and you don't know what actually is going on. All right. Here's the problem. ICE is not driving down the street, picking up random people going, oh, who are you? Show me your papers. Actually, that is happening by the leftists who are creating these community checkpoints because all of a sudden they want to support borders. Okay, cognitive dissonance at its finest. But what's going on is ICE has actual warrants for people who are not only here illegally, but have broken serious crimes while being here. And so they have a legitimate warrant to go out and arrest a person on a legitimate judge-signed warrant. Okay. If you interfere with that job, you are breaking the law. If you touch an ICE officer in the midst of that, that is an 8-year felony. It's ICE, it's police, it's anybody. Okay, it is a felony in the state of Minnesota, particularly. It is a felony, 8 years if you touch an officer in the means of obstructing him to carry out a lawful duty. So if these people are just sharing information so they can sit on the sidelines and blow their annoying whistles and hold signs and go, abolish ICE, that's not a problem. But more often than not, there's people actually interfering, and that is a problem. So if you are looking for who these people are because they are interfering, that is a legal use of data collection. If you're doing it because you're mad at them, that is an illegal use of data collection. And we do not have the exact position parsed out in this article. Now, they also say people who have criticized Trump officials or protested government policies. If it is indeed true that they are asking for information on people who have criticized Trump officials or protested government policies, that would be a violation of the law. They could not give up that data. Now, it does address in the article they are using judicial subpoenas rather than warrants because the subpoenas does not need to be signed off on. But in using a subpoena, it is up to the company can decide whether they give the information up. So if they end up giving information up on a judicial subpoena to a big tech company, let's just say it's Google, well, don't be mad at ICE, be mad at Google because they're giving up data without a warrant. So ultimately, this is why we do need any of this data collection coming with actual warrants, with actual evidence. If anybody's information is being collected because they're simply there, I disagree with them asking for that data. That would be breaking the law. But if they are seeking out data on people who are actively obstructing their job, yes, they should get that data and they should go get a warrant for that data. And the judge should sign off on that because you need to enforce the law. And that really is the point here. But my overall principle is if these big tech companies do not have the data, they cannot give the data. So maybe we as a society need to be like, hey, I don't trust the government, which I don't trust the government. Maybe we should just work to not have this data in there to be handed over. Because I work really hard to not have my data in their databases. And I'm sure they've picked up a few scraps here and there, but they're not going to get where my location is. They're not going to grab a bunch of other data. They're not going to grab anything about what I do on a phone or really on the internet at all, as long as I'm in my office, because every system on my network in my office blocks Google Analytics and other Google trackers. So that's the thing. Now, again, though, if people are legitimately breaking the law, we need the warrants, not the subpoenas. And then the tech companies can be involved. But if it's, oftentimes what's going on and what you're not seeing as much from people who are mad at all this violence going on is the violence is happening because people are obstructing and getting in the way. And that is a violation of the law. So we have to be a lot more balanced. Can we come back and meet in the middle? Can we get back to a world where Republicans and Democrats can sit around a dinner table, talk and have fun and have a great night without completely thinking that the other guy should be dead? We need to get back to that. We will have nothing but bad division in our country until that happens. But it kind of starts with getting the evil criminals out of here. And that's literally all that ICE is trying to do. Have they picked up people who are not the dangerous criminals? Yes, it's the guys who have been hanging around with the dangerous criminals. And usually if you're hanging around with dangerous criminals, there's a reason to look into you a little bit further. And some of those have been released on out and some of those have not. So there's that. But of course, they're all mad at they're all mad here at the administration for doing this. But in reality, it is up to the tech companies to hand over or not hand over data. So there's that. Okay, now I made all y'all mad. Stick around. We got more as we jump on over into Sillyville because why not? Let's just jump. Just stay right on the topic. We're just gonna it's last political one here, but we're just gonna do it. Over there on Roblox, kids are now organizing virtual ice raids. Yes, we actually have virtual ice raids going on here. So I'm going to turn the music down there. So here you go. Here's Roblox. They're all going in. Oh, look at that. They got this guy wearing this hat there. So there you go. They're arresting the guy. Yeah, got him in there. Ice raids. Yeah, got him. All right. Don't be too alarmed. If that triggers you, here you go. Here is the ICE protest, also on Roblox. So, you get your wonderful children over here and you get them all Roblox. Now, I want you, though, just objectively look. Which one seems like a better, more organized place? I'm seeing here mass chaos. Okay? If this is supposed to be America, why are we waving all these Mexican flags? If y'all like Mexico so much, go back to Mexico. It's all cool. I don't mind. In fact, if you're here illegally, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. If you're here illegally and you don't want to be brutalized by ICE, self-deport, you get $2,600 and a free flight to the country of your choice. Did you know that? It's all on the app. Okay. But there you go. And I did a video about this. It'll be on next Tuesdays. There you go. Next we'll be seeing Epstein Island raids. Oh God, I want to know. But what we're gonna talk about on the Daily Walk on my Christian channel. Have a look at my Christian stuff, ourwalkinchrist.com, or on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, on Our Walk in Christ. We will be talking about this because this is problematic on both fronts. We shouldn't be having, we should not have our 8-year-olds going into video games and seeing ICE raids or ICE protests. We shouldn't see any of these. Our 8-year-olds should not be subjected to this type of nonsense. Our 8-year-olds, if they're playing video games at all, they should be playing simple offline video games that are just simple, little fun, challenging things, a little bit of time relaxing, and that would be about it. That's kind of the principle that we want to look at there. But yeah, it's crazy. Forget books. Professors say students can't even make it through a whole movie anymore. Everyone's so addicted to their phones. And this is what phones have gotten us. It's gotten us to the point where we need a constant hit of dopamine that we got to pick up this phone. This is why we need to, it's not just like, we don't need the societal laws. What we need going on right now, we need a social pact again. This is what we had in the 80s and the 90s. We didn't need a law that said a store could not sell an X-rated magazine to a kid. Just nobody did it. It was accepted. We need to get into a world where kids are expected to not be on a phone in society. Nobody should be on a phone. Nobody should be running around like a distracted zombie all day long on their distraction boxes. Nobody should be doing that. Things should be for your communication. When we certainly don't need kids so addicted to scrolling on phones that they're doing this. But we don't need a law about it. We need to go back to a time where everyone agreed our kids shouldn't be on it. It's obvious your kids should not have a phone with them on school. And there's some other problems I realize we need to get into with that, but this is Sillyville, so we're not going to do it. I'm just going to comment on the fact that kids can't even watch a simple movie without being distracted by their boxes. And on our last one, a Chrome add-on is caught stealing Amazon commissions. So this is supposed to be an Amazon ad blocker that's supposed to block Amazon ads. But what it was doing is basically pretending it's Honey and injecting its own Amazon affiliate link into your Amazon orders. I don't want to see those Amazon ads. I'm shopping at Amazon. I don't want to see Amazon ads. I just want to see the listings. So it blocked all those, and then every single thing you did, it injected its own affiliate code into there. Oh boy, how wonderful. That's great. So then they just kind of talk. It's basically the same thing as Honey, but it is kind of funny that the Amazon ad extension is blocking Amazon ads, but giving you the full credit for it. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do have a science fiction short story collection, Code Red, Dark Tales from Tech. You can find information on tlm.li/Code Red, and you can grab the ISBN number there. You can look for the book in ebook, audiobook, or softcover anywhere you buy books online. And on this page here, you can listen to a 5-minute clip of it and get information, including what does the book look like. And for all those weird people out there, you can't do anything with LibreOffice. You got to use Microsoft Office. Now, these are all produced in LibreOffice. And far more professional books than anybody else. And I travel around the country going to writers' conferences, and I do better book design work than I've seen even professional, mainstream book publishers do. So it is not only a wonderful book, it is a beautifully designed book as well. So there you have it, guys. If you want to watch, of course, the whole stream is linked down below, as are the links to the articles. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.